Good afternoon. On Memorial Day, we commemorate and celebrate with humble reverence and memory the absent comrades, all of who epitomize and give true meaning to the words valor, sacrifice, loyalty, and perseverance. Yet while we revere and cherish the memory of those who've come before, we are reminded to do everything within our power to support the soldiers, sailors, airmen, marine, and Coast Guardsmen. Thank you. Equal tribute needs to be given to all who are serving courageously around the world. During one of the most challenging periods in American history, at the same time, we pause to honor all generations of brave American service, people who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. Each year, in towns, cities, and villages across the great land, faithful citizens set aside a small portion of this day to publicly honor the best and noblest of us all, those who no longer walk among us. Memorial Day is a day of conflicted emotions for each of us. A blend of pride, mournfulness, gratitude, loss, and a deep, abiding sense of patriotism. On May 30th, 1870, Major General Logan said, "Let us then unite in the solemn feelings of the hour, and tender with our flowers the warmest sympathies of our souls. Let us revive patriotism and strengthen our loyalty by the example of the noble dead around us." As we measure the countless examples of the noble dead and weigh the selfless devotion of our fallen for what they have given, we are obligated to look hard at who we are and aspire to become the best we can be. Today we share a common sorrow, but we also are united in our thanks to those who gave their last full measure of devotion to a cause much greater than themselves. Regretfully, the sacrifices of our comrades are sometimes forgotten or disregarded, especially by those who have gained the most from it. History has proven that if not for those who we honor today, the heavy fist of tyranny and terror would still shackle and strangle many countries that are enjoying relatively recent freedom and democracy. It would be a good idea for those who take so much for granted to consider that alternatives would be available to them, or would not be available to them, if not for the selfless sacrifices of so many of our comrades. As we speak of the present and the distant past, it is up to us to make sure the legacy of our nation's fallen is passed from this generation to the next, and then on to all generations beyond. As we maintain the memory and the deeds of our fallen throughout the coming years, we need to remember to care for those who return from their service and their wars as well, serving with equal dedication and valor they deserve and are entitled to receive. They're entitled to receive adequate and proper medical care and compensation for the wounds, injuries, and illnesses connected to the military service. Our responsibility and obligation to our veterans should not end when the last troops come home. They deserve better than that. The defenders of this nation fulfilled their duty and obligation to us, and we have an equal duty to honor and fulfill the obligations to them. Let us leave here today knowing that our destiny as free people is entirely up to us. Let every deed and act of each of our days be guided by the memory of those who gave their lives for our future freedoms. And may their sacrifice continue to inspire us and fill us with hope in all the days of our lives. I thank you for your time this afternoon. God bless America.
Thank you, Nate. Now we will hear from American Legion Post 160 of West Seattle, Legionnaire John Phillips.
Each of the fallen has a story to tell. The crosses at Normandy, the markers at Punch Bowl, the tombs at Arlington, the fallen heroes who rest in places unknown. From our founding revolution to today's global war on terror, nearly 1 million men and women in the armed forces have sacrificed their lives while defending America in a time of war. 70 years ago, Americans were still celebrating their great victory in the European theater, a triumph that came at an enormous price. But that celebration was tempered with the determination and sacrifice that still lay ahead, as Americans and their allies were engaging the Japanese in a ferocious fighting on the Pacific island of Okinawa. One such American was Dale M. Hansen, a 19-year-old from Wisner, Nebraska. At 5'9" and 141 pounds, Private Hansen was far from the biggest Marine in his reserve unit, but he fought like a giant. He landed on Okinawa with his unit on Easter 1945. At a critical stage of action on May 7th, Private Hansen crawled into an exposed position where he used a rocket launcher to destroy a strategically placed enemy pillbox. After his weapon was destroyed by enemy fire, he seized a rifle and continued a one-man assault and opened fire on 6 Japanese soldiers, killing 4 before his rifle jammed. He fought off the 2 remaining Japanese soldiers with the butt of his rifle, returned for cover, then advanced again with another weapon and some grenades. Private Hansen proceeded to destroy a strong mortar position and annihilate 8 more enemy soldiers. For his actions on May 7th, his parents would later receive this Medal of Honor. For while Private Hansen survived his heroic actions that earned him the medal and the enduring respect and gratitude of the American people, he was killed by a Japanese sniper just 4 days after his amazing display of combat valor. Private Hansen, like so many other defenders of freedom, is forever young. Brittany Gordon lived a life of service. In the Tampa Bay Times, her mother Brenda recalled a letter that the little girl wrote to the Tooth Fairy. Dear Tooth Fairy, will you please leave the tooth under the bed, and I will return it the next night. P.S. I want to take it to school and share it with my friends. That just speaks volumes to who she was, her mother said. As a 24-year-old Army specialist, Brittany was among a group that was delivering furniture to an intelligence office in eastern Afghanistan in October of 2012. She lost her life when a terrorist detonated a suicide vest. Brittany was a shining light, her cousin remembered. Like Private Hansen, Specialist Brittany Gordon is forever young. The numbers of our fallen heroes are not just statistics. They are real people with real families who lived in real communities. We can best honor their sacrifice by remembering their families, who have lost so much. Long after the battlefield guns have been silenced and the bombs stop exploding, the children of our fallen warriors will be missing their parent. Spouses will be missing their life partners. Parents will continue to grieve for their heroic sons and daughters that died way too early. We need to be there for them, not just members of the Legion family, but as American citizens. Nobody can replace these fallen heroes, especially in the eyes of their families. But we can offer shoulders to cry on, assistance with education expenses, and assurance that their loved one's sacrifice will not be forgotten. Americans must remember that freedom isn't free. In fact, it's only possible when our fallen heroes have paid its high price, a price paid which enables us to have ceremonies and observances like this one across countries, across towns in this great country. While exceptional valor and sacrifice has occurred in all of America's wars, we did not always honor our fallen with a day dedicated in their honor. In fact, the first Memorial Day was not called Memorial Day. It is believed to have been celebrated with a parade of freed slaves with Union soldiers marching to Charleston, South Carolina in 1865. Waterloo, New York is considered the official birthplace of Memorial Day because after it was observed there on May 5, 1866, General John Murray and General John A. Logan called on all communities to honor the war dead every year. Logan had been impressed with how the South had honored their fallen Confederate soldiers for years. In 1868, Logan, head of the prominent veterans group, the Grand Army of the Republic, issued a proclamation that Decoration Day be observed nationwide. The date chosen was May 30th, specifically because it was not the anniversary of a battle. Still, some communities did not want to honor Decoration Day because of the lingering resentments of the Civil War. The alternative name, Memorial Day, wasn't commonly used until World War II. Federal law recognized the holiday as Memorial Day in 1967. As the unofficial beginning of summer, let us never lose focus of what Memorial Day means. It is not about beaches, picnics, or auto races. It is a day to remember. It is a day for us to remember the promise President Lincoln made to care for him who shall have borne the battle and for his widow and his orphan. Remembering our fallen once a year is not enough. The widows, widowers, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, and children remember every day. The empty seat at the dinner table, the smaller gathering on Thanksgiving, and the voice of loved one heard only as a distant memory. In one's mind are the constant reminders that they are gone. The American Legion has always shown great pride in our nation's fallen heroes and unwavering support that America sends in harm's way. On the back of every American Legion membership card is the preamble to our organization's constitution. It pledges, in part, to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in the Great Wars. Today is another opportunity for us to give thanks. We owe it to the heroes that died and the loved ones they left behind to make sure that their sacrifices are remembered and that their service to this nation is always honored. Real people, real stories. May God bless them all. Thank you.
Thank you, John. At this time, we will have echoing taps with Pete Kirkman and Al Keith. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about to retire the colors, and then we'll hear America the Beautiful from Ross Hauke once again. But before I leave, I'd like to thank our organizations that made this possible. Mr. Hank Kearns from Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery, the American Legion Post 160 of West Seattle, the VFW Post 2713 of West Seattle, Boy Scout Troop number 284, Noteworthy Services, and Dignity Memorial. And also the staff of Forest Lawn who helped make this possible. And last but not least, the Duwamish Jazz Quartet. Thank you very much.
I'm here to sing, but I want to say something first. This is my third year here. Hank has asked me to come and do this for the third year. And I have to confess that I didn't get it until this year. I've never served. I don't have children that have served. But I'm here with my boys today. They're 8 years old, Daniel and Benjamin. We just happen to be standing in front of a grave of a man who gave his life 70 years ago in World War II. His name is Benjamin. And he's sleeping next to his father, who outlived him. And there was something about seeing that, walking over with my boys today, that just struck me. And that voice in the silence echoed to me stronger than I could ever sing. So before I do this final hymn, I just want to read to you a poem that I sang in a recital last year set by American composer Charles Ives. And I didn't get it. I didn't get it until right now, standing in the cemetery. This is a poem written in 1915 by John McCrae. This is In Flanders Fields. In Flanders fields the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row. that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, or doves, still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Field. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairie,